Bryophyta includes mosses, liveworts, and hornworts. Bryophytes have life cycles that have an alternation of generation between haploid gametophyte and diploid saurophyte. Just like algae, they need water for reproduction.
Bryophytes vary in appearances, but they are not more than a few centimeters tall. They're actually clusters of haploid moss gametophytes growing closely. In bryophytes, water passes from cell to cell by osmosis and by the means of surface tension around the stems. This is one reason bryophytes never grow tall.
Bryophytes lack a protective surface covering to keep water from evaporating their cells. They also lack true roots. They have sperm cells that must swim through the water to fertilize the egg.
And now we're going to explain to you how there can be alterations of generation in mosses.
A moss, like all other plants, undergoes a complex life cycle in which subgeneration alternate between haploid and diploid forms. The most familiar forms of moss is the leafy form, called a gametophyte. Gametophytes are either male or female. The male gametophyte produces male gamete sperms inside reproductive structures called the antheridia. The haploid gametophyte produces these haploid sperms by mitosis. The female gametophyte produces a female gamete or egg inside each of many female reproductive structures called archegonia. Like the sperm, the eggs are haploid and are produced by mitosis. Mosses can reproduce sexually only when standing water is present. This is one of the reasons why mosses are typically found in moist environments. Sperm cells require water for transport to egg cells. Once in the vicinity of an egg, a sperm cell swims to the egg and fertilizes the egg by fusing with it. The fusion produces a diploid zygote, the first cell of the next generation called the sporophyte generation. The zygote divides by mitosis and grows into two multicellular sporophytes. During the life of the sporophyte, it remains attached to the gametophyte and depends on the gametophyte for water and nutrients. As the sporophytes continue to grow and elongate, the surrounding gametophyte tissue keeps pace, but eventually crack at its middle. The remaining hood-like tissue at the tip, called the calyptra, protects the growing sporophyte. Underneath the calyptra grows a capsule filled with thousands of spores. The spores are haploid and are produced when diploid cells of the sporophyte undergo meiosis. When the top of the capsule is shed, it reveals a ring of teeth-like structure holding in the spore. These teeth are highly responsive to humidity. They arch in and then out again as they absorb water and then dry out. Each time the teeth open out, spores are released to the wind. A spore that lands on moist ground will germinate, producing a filamentous elongating structure called a protonema. This protonema gives rise to buds, which in turn develop into the next haploid gametophyte generation. The gametophytes in this generation will mate and continue the alteration of generations. Like the algae-like organisms from which they evolved, mosses have a complex life cycle that involves an alternation of genes between a haploid gametophyte and a diploid sporophyte. Bryophytes like the water-conducting tubes that are found in higher plants. Without these tubes, bryophytes can never grow tall. Because mosses and ferns are well adapted to life in certain environments, they are grown in many gardens.